Welcome back, folks, to Downhill Smooth Tarmac. Welcome back to the workshop. Regular viewers will see that things have changed. You might have noticed there's been no video for the past 3 weeks, I think it's going to be, and that is because I have been having the mother of all refits and tidies here in my delightful little workshop. I am feeling a very, very lucky guy right now for two reasons. One, I now have this amazing workshop to bring you more and more videos, and I've got room to move and I'm not tripping over things. And second of all, first technical video we're going to record is something a little bit special. Check this out. This is a 2003 Cannondale Cyclocross Ultra. I picked this up from a cycle charity. It has had something of a refit, but it's not what I want. So I want to make this my summer pristine gravel machine. This is going to be my gravel machine of 2024. It's going to have the right mix of 10-speed. I'm going to put some 10-speed 105 ultegra mix, make it all shiny. Probably going to have to switch out the wheels. I'll explain that later. Headshok works lovely, but the lockout is not there, so we're going to probably have to give that a bit of a service. But without further ado, let's roll the credits and let me show you around this beautiful bike. Okay, so before we get into the strip down of this machine, let's have a look at what we're dealing with the Cyclocross Ultra. Here it is. It has been rebuilt with a mismatch of shifters. There's some random Claris 8-speed. The original Mavic rims laced to Coda Expert hubs are there. However, if we look in closely, it's going to be hard for you to see that, but the rims are very, very worn. There is a big old concave there, so that may well be going. There's an 8-speed group set mixed with some 9-speed Dior there, and also this chain set, which is it's old school cyclocross 4639. Not really sure why you'd bother with a 2x for that, to be honest. Got plans there. Moving around. The original Canties, I think, are gone. These aren't the originals, these Avid Shorties. They're quite nice, and I would have kept them. However, on the back, we've got a random set of, I think they're STX mountain bike Canties. One thing that did surprise me on this build is there is an appropriate brake pad on this side. And weirdly over here, we have, that is a V-brake pad bolted in. So not ideal. So we'll be getting rid of all of that. We've got some more modern Canties to go on. So that's the bike. The frame is in lovely shape. It's just in need of a cut and coat, really. So we're going to strip it down and see how we get on with that. Other than that, we've got the Headshok with the lockout. The lockout moves, but it's not working. So I'm going to have a little dig into that fork. That's probably going to be the first job after the strip down. So without further ado, strip down clean and have a look at the Headshok. Here we go. Okay, so as you can see, the bike has cleaned up beautifully in the time lapse, and we're now down to looking at this fork. Now, I love Headshocks when they work, and I'm no expert in taking them apart when they don't. I understand the principle, but there are many videos on YouTube explaining how to do this. Some specialist tools are required, something like one of these bottom bracket tools with the pins. And all we're going to do is I'm just going to go in as far as I need to, because I don't have the special Cannondale tool in for this, the Castle tool as it's called. So if we can't get the damper open, we're not going to get any further anyway. But I want to know why my lockout is not working. Now, I've just opened this up briefly because it was already loose. So I think somebody's already been in here before me. If it's whoever's been working on the bike to the standard that we've seen earlier, I kind of really hope not, because I found quite a few problems with the bike. But what you get is basically there's a little thing in here we need to undo, and it needs a specialist tool, which I haven't got, so I'm going to try and grab it with a pair of long nose pliers, see if we can get in. If not, we may have to make a piece that this isn't going to have a Headshok that locks out, which it's only 25mm. I don't think it really matters. It's more my complex OCD that's wanting me to open this up. I'm going to try and get on this tool, on this, and just unscrew it. I don't have a lot of luck doing this, I'll be honest. But let's see what we get. Let's have a look at what we can get going in here. The hard thing is to establish what kind of fork this actually is. Let's take the boot off, see if we can get ourselves a little bit more room. Cannondale made so many different lefty and Headshocks that some are air, some are oil, some are mechanical damping. Even though I found this model, I still have no idea which fork this is. Okay, well, that's a bit weird. I've just literally I've just put this back together because I gave everything a bit of a wiggle while I was mucking about trying to get the inner out, and it's working. It's a very subtle lockout, but it's working. So that's not the drama over for this fork, unfortunately, because one thing I have noticed is there's no play in the bearing. Not very nice, that. So I'm going to tap that off, and I think, anyone remember the Super V project? I think I've got some spare bearings. Let's have a look. Right, found them. These are off my old Super V from 1994. I'm guessing they're not 1994 bearings because they're in really good shape. They're nice, they're firm and smooth. Just what we want. So, next step is going to be to reseat the bearing where the other one was. These are really easy to do. I'm just going to grease up the shaft, pop it on, and make sure I get it the right way around. I think these are pretty much standard. Swing me coffee first there. Thanks, Chops. Stopped in with a brewsker. Oh. Little bit of the silicone grease. This will help get that bearing where it needs to go. Keep it protected as well. So we're going to slide this one down. And it's going to go to the first seat. We're going to have to tap her through. So you just give it a tap through, it'll tap through that and down towards its next seat. I feel like I've lost a bit of my bearing face. Where's that gone? Losing my marbles today, people. Whacked into place. The actual installation procedure will finish the job. We've actually just damaged the dust cover doing this to this bearing. Bugger. Oh, well done, Jeff. Oh, dearie me. We've just slipped the dust cover. Right, okay, we can fix it. We can fix it. Don't panic. Yeah, it's just knocked the dust cover out of shape, so we'll... Just digressing, this is what's left of the old top bearing. There's no plastic cage left, all the bearings are rolling around. Rubbish. Okay, but we have another cover here. So what I'm going to do, actually, while that cover's off, just put a little bit of grease in, just to keep this bearing nice and fresh. There we go. I've wanted one of these for so long. I just want it to be perfect. I want it to be all good all the way through. Right, there we go. Going to put the seal back on the bearing there, on the cartridge. And now we have a nice bearing. Lovely. Right. Next step, let's get that boot back on and zip tied. So before I put the boot back on, I'm just going to add a little bit of grease to the bottom of the roller bearings here. Having felt this fork, it doesn't need a rebuild, and I'd quite like to keep it that way. So a little bit of grease just at the bottom here. As long as you've got a decent quality grease, from what I understand, these bearings, quite happy with anything quality. So I'm just going to give it a little, I'm not going mad, it's just going to keep any ingress. If the boot was to split while riding, anything like that, that's how these Headshocks often come to an end, is the boot splits and you get water ingress, corrosion and dead bearings, and that's when it gets pricey. So there we go, got some grease there. I've turned the lockout off. You can't see me, but I'm pumping. There we go. Right, now let's get the boot. It goes that way. I even placed this in a way that would remind me which way it goes, and I've still got... Oh my goodness me. Right, slide this boot over. There we go. Now, if you have a Headshok and you haven't got one of these boots zip tied around it, not just hanging around over it, zip tied around it, go and do it now or you forget. Go zip tie it now because you need it. So it's the utmost importance. Like I said, it's the only thing stopping those bearings from taking on basically grit and horribleness. So put it there, zip tie like this one. So we've done a little bit of preventative maintenance, I think, more than anything else. Should we put a thinner one on the bottom? Yeah, that's factory fresh. That's the first part of our fork installation. Now we've got to put a bearing in the top. So let's do that. Oh, there's your first glimpse of that polished up frame. Oh, it's lovely. Right. It's no use to anybody without a bearing. I'm going to use this one. I think it's this one. Is it this one? Oh no, it's that one. There we go. Right. So, yeah, unfortunately this has got a tiny chunk out of the outer part of the cartridge bearing. I'm not worried about that though. I'm going to grease it up. I think being as it's going on the top, it'll be all right. At the back and down there. Press this in. Right. A little bit of mallet. Might as well put the fork in as well while we're at it, because that's the similar sort of process. I'm going to slide it through. Oh, I want a bit more grease on there. I want plenty of grease in this Headshok because I'm going to use this bike. So I want it all sealed up and protected because it is 20 odd years old and you've got to remember that. Quick tap. I feel like we're going to have a nicer headset than we had before there. Right. Just going to tap that in on the floor. You won't see that. Right, so with that headset knocked back in place, don't forget to put your dust cap on. Fit that around the top, and it's time to talk bars and bits. While we're at the front end, the bike came with this shorter, quite a high-rise black stem. I'm thinking of stretching this out because actually I want to fit some silver parts to this to go with the build idea that I've got. I went in the shed, found my old Cannondale Super V, sat there doing very little. It's got this lovely, shiny, slightly lower rise stem. So I think we're going to go with that for a start. I found some Cannondale bars. Cannondale, I don't know how you pronounce it. Cannondale bars. that I think will do the trick as well. So that's pretty cool. What I also found is on these models, the lockout lever is this rather clunky, thummy thing. On the older models, you get this really cool top cap, and it's even got the Headshok logo on. It's all that cool sort of thing. It's got an on and an off. So I think I'm going to fit that instead. So I think it's kind of a little nod to my love of the older Cannondale. There we go. So we put the Headshok twisty doodad in there. Let's hope that it fits with this stem. I'm going to tighten this up. Hopefully this layout is not going to leave me too far strung out. Now, let's have a little look at that a sec. Oh no! I've snookered myself. This stem isn't going to work. It's too tall for this model of Cannondale. Silver stem is out the window. It's made its mind up for me. Let's put the black one back in. So you can see the Headshok on and off. That's cool. I just think that's way nicer. Plus, let's be honest, 25mm of travel, are you really ever going to lock it out? No, probably not. Especially with my fatness on the top. In all honesty, it's probably going to be squished to the bottom. We're going to go for pretty much silver. Not all of it, because we can't. Right. Talk amongst yourselves while I do this. So we're going to go with mostly silver, but with a black stem. Which is kind of cool, because when you see the wheels I've got, it'll work. Right, let's talk about some wheels. Wheel time. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the wheels that I have for Cannondale. Check these out. Mavic Open Pros laced to Ultegra. Found these at the same cycle charity. I have put some 38C Summary Panaracer gravel doodads on there. Love me a Gravel King. Matching pair. We've got a radial pattern at the front. Then we've got radial and crossed lacing on the back. These should be probably stronger than what's come off the Coda wheels with the blue Mavics that were worn. Same lacing pattern, actually a thinner gauge of spoke. Not as nicely built as these. These have been built beautifully, and the Ultegra, the silver, it's all part of my silver and black theme. Let's, without further ado, offer these up and see how we go. I have had a cheeky check, and I think these are going to clear just fine. I wanted to go with the 40C, but that's not happening. So let's have a look at these. So that's the rear going in and spinning. Oh, it's catching. Oh, we'll have a look at that in a minute. And the front one, there's bags of room up front. Lord, I'm cack-handed today. There we go, right. So, there we go, let's have a look at that. Lovely. Right, let's check that back one a second. Ah, there we go. Wasn't quite seated properly. And then we get our first look at the Cannondale. And I think this is going to be super cool. Right, next we're going to move on down to that bottom bracket. You know how I like to build a bike, so I want to get a bottom bracket in and get the cranks on, show you the gearing that I found. So I've got something, you can probably see it in the background hiding. I think I've got the ultimate sort of speed mix, so let's do that. Okay, so for bottom bracket duties, I have got a token bottom bracket, which looks worse than it is, to be honest. It is came out of another retro Cannondale build. Don't know whether you've seen the R800 build. Okay, a little bit of grease on the threads. just to keep things well. Threads are nice and clean, which is what we want. They don't sound like clean threads, but trust me, they are. Right, let's get this in. This came out of the R800, and I'm remembering now why I was reluctant to use it. It's because the previous owner has tried to take this bottom bracket out of the other bike. Looking at it, I think he's used his feet or his teeth. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a bit chewed up on the drive side. You're never going to see it, so that's fine. If I had a better bottom bracket, I would use it right now, because this is, I'm having to put my hand on just to keep the tooling in place. There we go. Right, that's nice and tight. Okay, crankset. Right, so I've had a bit of a master stroke. I've been up to my triple chain set tricks again, and for this, I'm going to go with this Sora chain set. It's an old Sora triple, Holotech 2. I've reused the weird 47 tooth outer from the Cannondale set, but I've teamed it up with a 30 inner, 47-30 range with this 10 speed that I'm planning. I think is going to be absolutely perfect for that. It's going to be a lovely mix. I mean, I could ride it on the road with a 47. I can make my peace with that. So there we go. This is what we're going to have, and I think it's going to be the perfect combo. Now, as this is an older Shimano triple, if you have got one of these and you've took it apart, make sure you've still got your spacer. Quite important. Right, let's send this through. There we go, straight through. Oh yeah, it's giving it a slightly more modern vibe as well, which I quite like. What is it people call it? Neo retro. Let's have a look at that. Oh, that's perfection. Lovely. I'm keeping my silver and black theme going here, people. The tensioner in. Allen key. Forgotten to engage the little pin. There we go. If you've still got the plastic pin, don't forget to engage it on these Holotech cranks. It's important. Tells you you're in the right place. There we go. Oh my days, that's flowing beautifully. Also got 175mm cranks instead of 172.5, so it's going to suit my long legs better as well. There we go. Right, while we're in this zone, let's put some derailleurs on. Derailleurs. Okay, so when it came to derailleur choices, I was genuinely a bit spoilt for choice due to my latest acquisitions. I was going to go with Shimano 5700-105 because that's the levers that I'm going to be using in silver. But then I came across some Ultegra 6500, which is probably about period correct for this bike. It matches the hubs in the Mavic Open Pros, and also, very, very unusually in my experience, I found a long cage Ultegra 6500 for the rear, which these aren't, you don't see these very often. So, with that double up front, this gives a scope for a wider cassette than what I'm going to fit in the first place, because I'm only going to fit an 1132, but this will clear it nicely. It's going to be shifting lovely, and it's also going to look the biz. So let's go ahead and fit these in. If you haven't noticed in this video already, I'm desperately trying to be tidy as I work because of everything that we've done. Anyone who knows me knows this isn't going to last. This place is going to look like a tip within a week. But anyway, while this video is going on, it's going to be tidy. Oh yes, there we go. Interestingly, from stock, I don't know where it's gone, but this would have had some Dura-Race on it rather than Tiagra. But Ultegra is a good compromise. Nice and straight. Oh yeah. Nice. Right, probably ought to get a cassette as well, that would be quite useful. Let's put a cassette on. Now, and there we go. 10-speed cassette in place. So I'm just going to carry on. I'm on a roll. I'm on a gearing roll. So I'm going to fit me a chain as well. Which I'm hoping is going to be long enough because it was in the bag with the cassette. Might be too long. You never know. You just never know. I think we have to unlink. This chain could go shorter, but I would ideally like to run an 1134 on the back eventually. So I'm going to try and leave as much as I can. Oh yes, there we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. There we go. So yeah, it is just a touch too long, but that's for a reason. It won't interfere with us for now. Oh my word, right. Quickly do some limits. Oh wow. Okay, that's a little grumbly. I wasn't expecting that. We'll come back to that in the fullness of time. Oh, the limits are nice already on this ridge rail. That's good. That's that set. So you notice this skipping here. This is just because of my chain setup. So when you're on small and small, it will catch the chainring bolts, but we're never going to be in small and small. Nobody's ever going to be down there. So we'll live with it. Beautiful at that end. There we go. Lovely. Gosh, that is a bit gritty. Might need a new freer body for that. Let's just build the bike. Come back to that. Okay, so next up is brakes. And for brakes, we're going to be using these Shimano CX50s, I think they are. Just double check. Yeah, Shimano CX50s. Great little brake, and I think these will do the trick. They're going to look right on the bike with the silver Shimano mix. So let's go ahead and get these fitted up. Right, on each post, although they've already been done by the last person. Grease them posts. Okay. Make sure you do these up tight. Seems obvious, but the last builder of this bike didn't. Front brakes were finger tight. There we go. Should we move? Which they do. Back. There we go. Lovely. Probably want some bolts for the back ones as well. I should like to live dangerously. Whoever built this before likes their Teflon grease. It's blooming everywhere. I don't grease these bolts because they come from the factory with basically Loctite on them, but you can, it's not a problem. Just remember to, if you're going to torque them wet. If not, make sure they're blooming tight. I've had these bolts seasoned a post a time or two as well, so they've previously been chewed up as well, which doesn't help, but they're in. There we go. No, smaller one. Let's quickly set the pads up while we're here. Interesting. Nice. Next up, levers. Right, before we get down to the business of the brake levers, it's time for a coffee break and another change of plan. Regular viewers to the channel will know On-one midge bars are my absolute favourite. I'm an on-one fanatic. I love on-one's products, especially the original stuff like this. So, I forgot I had another pair of midges. Ha in 25/4 clamp, which, you know, we don't get very often. It was a no-brainer. It's changed my silver and black theme a touch, so I'm not going to put a silver seat post anymore. That'll be something else. So we are at the point now where we're ready to build with the levers. Once the levers are on, set this up. I've got a saddle change in mind. It's going to be awesome. I think it's looking really, really cool. That grumbly back wheel, while I'm on the subject of things I've changed, just giving that a quick rebuild off camera because nobody wants to see that. It's just cleaning bearings and putting them back in again. It's still grumbling. It's perfect, apart from that it grumbles a bit. We've re-greased everything. What's happened is at some point somebody has run light oil through the free-up body and cleaned everything out. If it doesn't get any better, we're going to put a new free-up body on there. But that can wait. It still rides, it engages, it's clean, it's good to go. Right, let's talk levers. Zoom in. Okay, so now we're zoomed in, we can talk about levers. Let's put them the right way around. Shimano 5700 105. This is an awesome lever. I love these levers. They are absolutely brilliant. 10 speed. These were on the Turbo Vado e-bike build, which I've now upgraded. And they're going to now go on this just to give the retro modern feel. Right. Let's take a minute to set them up on the midge bars because they're going to be in a weird place. Roughly about there. You can tell I've run these bars for a while. Don't even need to look. I know roughly where they need to go. About there. Tighten. Oh yeah, that is a cool look. Oh, mama, beautiful. Very nice. Right, let's just drop it on the deck and see if it fits all right. Well, all right. Now it's time to set the brakes up. Chap who built this already has cut some cables that were similar, so should be all right. We are going to need this thing before we do anything else. This is what allows us. This is quite interesting, actually, if you like a bit of bicycle geekery. This little doodad here is what allows us to have suspension whilst having cantilever brakes. Basically mounts at the top of the fork to keep the brake cable pivot distance the same no matter what the suspension is doing. I'm going to put this on straight. I'm saying putting it on straight because when I picked up the bike, this was wonky. It wasn't even on straight. It was a cockeyed angle, which immediately set off my OCD somewhat. Let's get some cables through and some outers. We are flying together. All right. Nice stainless cable. I know this is going to be more than long enough because it's come off a bike that was running discs. Lovely. Right, now. Is it going to be that one? None of these are right. I'm going to do my own. It's that one. There we go. Well, that's one thing that's right from the build. Chap who built this at least has cut the cables the right length. No, he's not. It's not flat at the ends. Silly sausage. Oh dear me. Let's get this moving. Then we get some... There we go. Right. Lovely. Nice and free moving. Very happy about that. Let's... Oh, actually, I'm going to have to wait a minute before we tape things in place. Just a little bit. Rear brake. Kind of doing this a little bit weird in my setup because I just want to make sure I've got everything I need cabling wise as it goes together. Because I'm kind of mixing with... A lot of the parts that I took off were new, so I don't want to waste them. And then got some parts that have come off with these levers as well. Again, don't want to waste anything because building bikes is becoming very expensive. I think someone else has been working on bicycles with their feet. Just admit this outer is not the nicest either. I don't know whose brand it is. So yes, it's getting very expensive to build bicycles. It's getting very expensive to do anything. I think that needs a brake doodad as well. Oh, just got that out of a box labelled push on brake ends. That's amazing. So organised. That's that one in. Very nice. Where's the back bit? There's the back bit. That's missing a push on as well. Unless it doesn't need one, of course. Which could equally be a possibility. That's also too long. Right, let's snip that off a little bit. It also was missing a brake end. Goodness me. There we go. Oh, it's a graceful arc. Right, we need some straddle cables. Let's go find them. Right, so front brake first. And I've put together myself some lovely Tektro straddle cables with a brand new straddle cable in the carrier. So we can set these up. Not undone that. We're off to an amazing start then as well. What was that? Did you fall out of my straddle cable? This is going to be quite hard to do on camera. So with all the cables placed where they need to be, first thing we need to do is get some nice tension in there. What the flipping heck does the cable go there? What the bloody hell's that for then? Let's roll with it. I'm sure Shimano has a plan. Alright, we've got good feel. A little bit close there. Just give it a little bit more. Oh, lovely. That's a lovely feeling brake right there. So once you've got it how you want it, just make sure you lock off. With these Tektros, you can lock off where the straddle cable sits within the brake house, whatever this thing's called. The triangle of cantilever loveliness. That should feel like a nice brake. It does! Oh, lovely. Oh, if only the back is going to be as easy as that. I can tell you for now, I don't think it is. I'm going to snip and crimp as I go, like a hero. To the rear of the bicycle. Right, back should be the same as front in principle. So let's see what we get. I'm just a little concerned that one of these hasn't got a lot of tension in it. Even with the spring. That's got spring. That's not. Right. Tickle. What I tend to do with these, and I don't know whether this is a legit thing or not, but you never know how old half of these brakes are, and the metal must get tired. So I tend to just give them a bit of a bend back. Just gently. I'm not going mad. Just a little bit of, it just seems to give them their spring back. There, look, lovely now. That's perfect. Don't know what I was worrying about. Oh yes, this bike is going to be so good. I've got a pad out of alignment now. Now it's all come back to life. Let's sort that out. Lever a squeeze down this end. Settle everything in. Oh, it's a bit sponge that. There we go. Right, that's better. I've got my angle all cockeyed on my straddle cable. Now we are finished. It is good. Let's snip it up, tidy it, gears, and we are done. Right. The other thing to check, of course, is that we can undo this cable should we get a puncture, which we can, which is great. I've actually gone old school and left the little togglers from back in the day. That's lovely. Little toggles help you pull that out when you've got gloves on. Blooming brilliant. Right, gears time. Boom. We are back at the front for gear cables. Oh, I love this era of 105. So easy to work on. This is actually a triple. I could have had a triple clanger, as Dave calls them. That would have been quite cool, actually. But, alas, it is not to be. I'll tell you what, whoever built this last likes their barrel adjusters. Never seen so many on a bike. I think he's on commission from Jaguar. I'm not complaining. I'm going to use them all in all. Apart from I'd probably quite like it if these all had the right ends on. So we are going to use a triple with a double. But I have no qualms about getting that to work. And if we decide we want a delicious triple, we can. I might have a bit of a situation here. I thought I was going to get away with being able to use the same cable setup, but I can't. This is going to be awkward. Now we can start pulling everything back to where it needs to be for the wrap. Lovely. There she goes. You know, I was talking about how easy these are to work on. Can't remember where to put the bloody cable, they're not. Oh, there we are, look. Flipping thing. Don't tell me there's a barrel adjuster. Oh yes, that's lovely. Got more gear and brake adjustment than you can shake a stick at. Oh God. Taping like I've got my eyes shut. Right, send this one down. Okay, right. It's time to just finish up this rear derailleur. Make sure that's unscrewed a bit. 4 turns, something like that. So first thing I want to do is hold this, just click it at the lever. It's going to seat everything then. I'm going to redo the cable, looks it's loose now. Let's see if we've got 10 speeds of glory. One click, one lift is what I'm looking for. I think that wheel's going to need a final trim. Right, here we go. One click. It ain't lifting, so let's tweak her. So it does. There we go. Well, there we go. Right, now we can do some indexing. You can see straight away we need to adjust that and all. Now I'm on that outside chainring. I'm going to retweak this back one. Doesn't feel quite right. One click and one lift is what I'm looking for. There we go. Back down. And 2 clicks. Let's see if we get it up to the top. There we go. I'm going to have a look at. first lift is just not having it. Ah, there we go. Right, now we're winning, people. There we go. Nice. Do we drop at the front still? We do. Not quite. We need to let a little bit of limit. There we go. Gears. Working. Done. Next job on the list, because the bike is nearly finished, is saddle. Retro special as this Cannondale saddle is, and I've even got another one of these. I've just been rebuilding some turbo saddles. I've just rebuilt these with a little bit of fresh glue and a bit of a clean up, and I've just got this urge to put one on this bike. These are reasonably comfortable. Not exactly, they don't scream gravel, but I do think it would look really cool, so I'm going to put one on. Why not? Oh. You will go back in there, yes. Oh yeah. Let's adjust it at the final fit. I am digging that. Retro cool. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Right, let's straighten that and put it back in the stand. Bar tape, time lapse, go. Well, all right, folks, it is done. You saw in the time lapse getting the bar tape on, also the wheel going in the stand. That back wheel has now been dished over a little bit further to suit the frame on the bike. It's been trued and it's running beautifully, if a little bit grumbly. New free hub, methinks. Just look at it, let's take a look at the detail of the bike. Shimano 105 ultegra mix, all working perfectly together and looking lovely with those silver accents. Just finish the bike off with what I had in mind. Speaking of finishing touches, the on-one midge bars give it that gravel flair, which I love, and the retro turbo saddle just works with it. You know, I mean, such a timeless saddle. Why not? Whether it'll stay, time will tell. Headshok 25mm of travel, that works perfectly. Saw a chain set in the middle, triple setup as a double with a 4730. That's the details. Look at it, it's beautiful. All that is left to do is get out and get it dirty again, which, you know, after all that effort, why the hell not? That will be in one of the upcoming videos because it deserves a test ride all of its own. See how it holds up. I know what you're thinking, I've ambitiously put some summer tyres on it for gravel antics. Let's hope it actually tries out. All that is left now is for me to sign off and say that I hope your next ride is downhill with smooth tarmac. Keep your wheels spinning, keep your rubber on the road or your knobblies on that trail. Look out for each other, remember the mark, the nod, cyclist to cyclist. We've got this, we're in it together. Stop and help people, be good. If you get a minute, you like my content, now it's back, please like and subscribe. It really does help and it means an awful lot to me and the effort that I put into the channel. But, and it's a big but, don't let that get in the way of you getting out there and riding your bike. Until next time, thanks for watching.